There you go. Gorillas playing the guitar, elephants. A lot going on there.
Great tune, too.
Welcome in Devin Townsend.
Thanks, guys. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I am sitting in a car in a strange part of Vancouver because I am trying to quadruple task my day efficiently thus far, man. Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, you do multitask a lot. One of the things that I dig the most about you, besides being such an experimental force in music, is you're a hilarious guy as well. Like, I think people who don't take themselves too seriously are the most endearing.
Well, you know what's funny? It's if that was a conscious decision, I think it would be a terrible personality trait. But I think that there's certainly an aspect of life and creativity that is just, you've got the intensity of what it means to be a human, and then all the things that go along with family and death and loss and all this. And as these entities, we tend to be philosophically minded, yet it's compounded by this awareness that we're just so fundamentally absurd. As a species, we are just one step above primordial ooze. So I can't imagine that anybody that's not really thinking is not going to find humor in that.
No doubt about it.
Very well said, man. Very well said.
Well, thanks, buddy. Thank you, my friend.
And I know when the music is good, when the guys in the control room are banging their heads and rocking out, because usually they just sit in there baked, and sit still the whole time. But they were rocking out.
What's the parameters for your show here? Should I not swear, or should I what's your?
No,
what's your thing?
This is the Free Speech Network, Devin. So
yeah, fuck yeah.
No, man,
or now you're loose.
Yeah, right. It's morning, and I'm heading to one of several things today, and I'm parked on the side of a road here in a part of Vancouver that I'm not familiar with. So. This is the life of a 47-year-old metalhead.
Well, look,
hey, you're going.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll be probably in that neighborhood soon.
That's what I was just going to ask, man. You're playing at a place called the Imperial, is it?
Yeah.
Nice, man. So what do? Are you just opening up for the Zach Sabbath, and is it a stand-up thing?
Yeah,
Are you playing music as well?
Yeah, do stand-up. Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Which I like. So, have you ever given that any thought, any serious consideration?
No, in fact, it's like when people comment that my stage routine, it's like, oh, you could do stand-up. I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, it's. I think my entire comedic element that goes into my live thing is just, it's either a defense mechanism or it's just, my reaction to being socially inept most of the time, right? It's like, and specifically as well when there's the propensity for screw-ups in a live environment with this type of music. It's just so omnipresent that to not kind of take it with a grain of salt, man, when those things inevitably go wrong, it's throwing yourself on the ground and kicking yourself in a circle, screaming about how unfair it is. It's not the most endearing trait, right?
Well, one of the most amazing things that I went down the Devin Townsend rabbit hole many times, but one of the most impressive times was I think this was in Barcelona, where you were literally down for 15 minutes and you fucking improv'd your way through the whole thing and never lost the crowd once. I think we have a little clip of it if you don't mind me showing it.
Fucking frog. Okay, so here I am biding time again because that's not fixed. And I don't feel awkward because as an old progressive heavy metal man, this sort of thing, I've failed so many times professionally in my life that standing up here and doing a dubious comedy routine, fuck it, don't care. Makes it really easy. But, okay, though, right, hi! So, how about that band before? Fuck yeah! How about that band that's coming later? And what about that other guy?
Yeah.
Right.
That's so great, man.
Well, hey, Don, have you got kids?
No, I don't. I use a condom.
I think that was you've got a couple of them like stored in a jar somewhere.
Yeah.
I find that once we had children, the drama and the punishment of going to a soccer game with a bunch of kids is such that the problems that I encounter professionally don't even register anymore. Like that sort of thing. Being on stage and being in that situation where things are going south. I mean, my only thought when I was up there was like, well, thank God I'm not at a soccer game.
Yeah, yeah. That in front of 30,000 people, and if you watch that video, the camera turns around. I mean, it's just packed with people. Yeah, you were not phased at all, and and we're both comedians, and that's so admirable. I was telling Joe before he came on, like, if something's wrong with the mic for more than 30 seconds, I'm like, I'm just going to leave the stage. I'll come back later. I don't care.
Well, I'm sure you've been in the situation too, where you see somebody like make a stink about it, and you're there with your buddies, and the only thing you can do is fuck with them. Like that's the only thing you can do. You're just like, oh, that guy there is now the target for all of our scorn, and I think that in my life I've been very fortunate thus far. I've been doing this for 30 years, and it's 30 albums worth of material, but I'm surrounded by people that I've known since I was a kid, basically. I've been married forever, and all my closest relationships are people that will tell me the truth, but they're also the same people that if we were at a club and somebody was making a stink out of it, I mean, we just relentlessly bag on them. That's just kind of
good.
What you do, right? Yeah. Like you guys would do the same, I'm sure, right?
Of course. Well, in comedy especially, it's no fun watching. Like I've seen Joe kill a million times, but it's way more fun to watch him bomb.
Yeah,
totally.
but even so, as a musician, I play in a band as well. My bass player snapped the bass string one night, and myself, I've been a comic for 22 years, and Anthony Cumia, this is his channel, who's one of the most brilliant comic minds. We're on stage for 10 minutes. We ran out of shit to say.
Great.
So kudos to you, man, for holding the show.
Thanks, dude. I mean, it's funny too. It's like a lot of times professionally, I get asked to rationalize my behavior, whether or not it's to, okay, well, what's this song about, or what was going through your mind, and a lot of times I just have to make shit up at this point because you don't really think about it. And it's not that I don't think what I do is important. I mean, it's clearly important to me, but even going back to the first thing that we had talked about, everything is juxtaposed by this fundamental absurdity, I think, of life in general. So when things tend to go south, there's not a whole lot about it that I put a great deal of importance on, right? So, in fact, I remember doing this. I was hosting this award show, and I didn't think of anything of it. But my buddy kept telling me, he's like, "Dude, this is a big thing. Like, you really need to like focus on this." And I had to tell him, I was like, "You need to stop saying that, because as soon as I adhere any sort of importance to my work, that's when I lose my trip, right?" It's like, I just got to keep it casual, and then things flow pretty good.
Well, it's funny, you mentioned being married and having kids. Do you know if you Google Devin Townsend, the first 3 questions that come up is, how old is Devin Townsend? Is he married? And what's his genre? So I guess those are the most searched things about you.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's just all the same person, right? And it's like, some like super awkward Dungeons and Dragons playing like 47-year-old dude, right? It's like, is he married? Do you like dudes? I think it's like, I don't know, man. I get. Did you say what's the guy's name? Anthony? Is that the Opie and Anthony guy?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had dinner with him. I like that guy. He was great.
This is his this is his network, Devin.
Oh, wow. So he's doing good. Good for him.
Yep.
Right, and since that metal show went away, I decided to take the logo and the theme music and make that Jamieson show.
That's how you do it, dude. That's how you do it, man. Like, it's just like, if you see an opening, you just got to just pry yourself in there and just be like, this is totally my show now, right?
Exactly, until the lawyers call.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They haven't called yet, though, have they?
No, it's just, we don't give out the number here. So
so sick, man, so sick, dude.
The other hilarious thing, which they have taken off the internet, was your appearance on a Bulgarian talk show called the Slavi Show, and that
fucking guy,
dude, you went so nuts on this guy. For like 45 minutes, and I want to show the picture just so people could see, because this is not like you're being interviewed on Headbangers Ball by Ricky Rackman. That's the guy. Slavi's on the right there, obviously. And
you know what?
Go ahead.
It's just the way that he, I mean, it's like sort of a weird thing to talk about, but his staff was afraid of him. And that lady that was
the translator
beside me, but she was taking so much shit from this guy that I remember thinking to myself before I went out there, like, fuck this guy, like it's not, and it's like, how sometimes you can kibitz with people and it works. And then other people, they just use your riffing, that you're trying to just have a rapport with somebody, but they use it as a way to try and make you feel like a dumbass about yourself.
Yeah.
But when they're not particularly clever too, there's this side of you that's just like, all right, let's just roll with this. And I don't know the guy. I mean, here I am talking shit about this guy, but I mean, I kind of found that his vibe was. I kind of found that just like the way that the staff seemed to be afraid of him implied a couple of things that I just thought was like, I was like, I don't know, fuck this guy, right?
Yeah,
but then
but it was magic,
but then
man.
Well, thanks, dude. But I remember he was pissed, dude. He was pissed. When that was over, I was just like, the people I was with were like, we should probably go.
Well, our guys actually found the clip.
No.
You roasted him so bad, I couldn't find it on the internet. I think they took it down because that woman there that we're showing, she was the translator.
Cool.
Yeah, she
was cool, man.
But you were making her translate things like, my prolapsed anus smells like blue cheese.
Because the questions he was asking was just, it's like sometimes when you're talking to people and they talk to you like you're a weird insect, like you're something to like dissect intellectually, as opposed to just having a conversation. I'm just like, okay, well, sure, man. My asshole smells like cheese. What do you think of that? Let's talk about that. You know what I mean? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And I tried on his glasses. Yeah, he was super bummed out about that too, right? Like.
Yeah, his face is legendary.
He looks like the principal when I would get hauled in. Yeah, he's not happy.
No, and it's a shame too, because I mean, it was like one of these situations that it's like going into it. They're like, this is a really important thing for you, and you should probably try to not be an asshole. But I mean, I can't imagine it's not the same with you guys. I mean, I think the reason why I've had a career of any sort is because I love the people that I love, and I love the music that I love, and my friends are super important to me. But it's not important enough that if you're face to face with something that you find sort of abhorrent, you're going to roll with it for the sake of your career. Like fuck it, ultimately, right?
Right, absolutely.
And I think that. I mean, that certainly prevented me in a lot of ways from like taking inroads that could have probably allowed my career to flourish in some ways that it hasn't. But man, I'm like really happy. Like I don't want any more than what I got. Like for real.
Well, yeah, you got exactly what you need, and you get to make records like Empath, which again and I love following you on social media. You always keep things upbeat and stuff, but you had a lot of angst about putting this album together, and maybe just because of the experimental nature of it. How are you feeling now that it's been out a few months, it's kind of sunk in with everybody? From what I've seen, the reviews have been great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate it, man. I think a lot of the creative process for me, I mean, since the beginning, there's close to 30 records at this point. And since the beginning, the creative process has been rooted in something that is maybe a little different than maybe some of the, my peer group, in that I think when I was very young, we weren't encouraged as children to be emotionally really out there. It was like overt displays of emotion were tended to be sort of quelled. It's, English, Irish sort of second generation thing. So as somebody who has always been highly sensitive, I found that the loophole for being able to express those things was always through music. So music became for me, since a very early age, a way for me to, in a sense, work out and quantify emotions as I started to try and understand them. Because as a young child, not having really direct experiences with them, I had a hard time when I started to see really direct examples of anger or being present with death or love or any of these things. And so each one of these records ends up being like almost in retrospect, like a thesis of a certain period of my life that Strapping a Lad, for example, was just anger and fury and mid-20s, and and then Infinity was like acid, and you know what I mean? And it's like Ocean Machine was death, and Accelerated Evolution was love, and there's all these things that came about it. And I think that when we had kids, I started to recognize how vulnerable life is, at the same time the grandparents were passing away, and there's a lot of that sort of awareness of mortality that came with that. And I think that my reaction to that awareness was to try to really consciously divert any overt displays of aggression in terms of my creative output. And that ended up being 10 years of records that, although were really important to me, like the Devin Townsend Project and Deconstruction, that Addicted and all that, it was devoid of anything that was reminiscent of what I did with Strapping a Lad. And I think in a lot of ways, I viewed that part of my creative motivation as an aberration rather than just a part of me that I hadn't spent significant time trying to figure out. And Empath acted as an album where I consciously tried to re-explore those parts of my creative identity that I guess I've feared for the past 10 years. And the trepidation that I felt in releasing Empath, I think had a lot to do with the fact that I didn't want people to interpret that particular side of my creative work at this age as being something that was sadistic or consciously trying to be provocative to make people feel uncomfortable. Rather, Empath was meant to be a collision between that sort of aggression and also, the beauty, because I don't know, that's life in a lot more of a tangible way at this age than just trying to ignore the fact that there's horror out there and there's aggression out there, right?
Well, I always
I'm sorry, go on. I'm just going to ramble until you
This is a phenomenal monologue, but and we're running out of time because I wanted to say in a nutshell, I always appreciate when an artist experiments, for better or for worse. Those are always the artists that are nearest and dearest to my heart. Even when Judas Priest did Turbo or Nostradamus, I had their back. When Megadeth did Risk, I had their back. When Metallica did Lulu with Lou Reed, I deleted it out of my iTunes immediately. But I still respect that they did it.
Have you tried it again? I tried it again last week, and I'm still just perplexed by it, man. You know what I mean? It's like, it's intense, but I appreciate that they did it, probably in the same way that you did.
Exactly. Well, thank you for pulling over and talking to us for a few minutes, Devin.
Thank you very much, Devin.
Well, guys, thank you so much for the interview. I really appreciate it. Good luck with your show, and keep kicking ass, man.
All right, you got it, brother. We'll see you.
See ya.